Hello and welcome to the Simuldub Saints, your guide to seasonal anime dubs. I'm your host, LaserKid, and with me as always is my trusty co-host.
Hello, I am Archangel, lover of cat girls.
And we have not one, but two special guests today.
Hi, yes, I'm back. I'm Sketch, the host of the Toonami Faithful podcast, back to talk about a show that isn't on Toonami.
Should work.
Would if it only to be.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, I'm here too. This is Kuro. Also, I'm here to talk about a show that's not on Toonami. Though honestly, I don't think it would work on Toonami. But I love it anyway.
Probably wouldn't, although I'd
stretch.
We all have range with our fandoms, and this is part of that range.
There's lots of fantasy elements, you know.
Yeah, fantasy elements, and we
have
We
a literal goddess as one of our two protagonists.
Yeah, but like I can't see Tom saying the virtues of a show that focuses a lot on a fictional medieval economics. So
I mean, he managed to do it for Hamtaro, so
yeah, Tom is a seasoned professional. He does not.
He can gas up Rick and Morty the anime. Okay, so you know.
Ooh.
There's nothing Tom can't gas up.
Well, before we get too far, I should say
shade.
that you've all been listening to our theme song, Wherever I Go, from a friend of the podcast, Ampren. Please check out their awesome music, link in the description, because I want to make sure I credit my friend. They're very nice to let me use their music.
and talented.
Oh, incredibly talented.
Yes.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Ryan Industries. More about them at the end.
Ooh, one I don't know about. That's exciting.
Never been to Rapture? For shame.
Oh, okay. No, briefly. Very briefly.
Oh, it's a great place. All right, but
Now that takes us to the news. And speaking of Crunchyroll, apparently they're teaming up with Spotify. They've got a whole Spotify dedicated anime hub, which actually is not a bad idea, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's a fine idea. I wonder how the curation is going of
Now
that.
that is gonna be the big question.
Like, is it just openings and endings? Does it include insert songs? Does it include OST? Like, also, the categories that they list are just kind of vague.
The categories are incredible. Crunchyroll Anime Essentials. A brand new anime season has arrived on Crunchyroll this summer. Listen along to music behind the lineup. I guess that's music from the current runs. So that makes sense.
Well, that's a shame because it's probably not going to have Oshinoko's music in it.
Oh, yeah.
Although I have to say, the seasons tend to be blending together these days.
They do.
It's more of a continuous role.
Hmm.
The journey begins. You're the main character of your own story. The fate of the world depends on you. And of course, there are side quests. What does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
For me, it means we're screwed. If I'm the main character and the world depends on me.
But what does that mean for music? Like anime music? What does that even mean?
Absolutely nothing.
Epic soundtracks.
I guess. The bubbly pink-haired BFF. Always close at hand when a friend is in need. This character brings light, positivity, and often underestimated strength. I guess the lighthearted music? Question mark.
Like stuff from slice of life shows.
Yeah, pretty much. Conversely,
somebody
we have
skimmed TV tropes for 2 seconds.
Yes.
I think is what happened.
I think you're absolutely right. The broody black-haired MC, anguish for the tragic past. This character's demeanor may intimidate some, but deep down, they just need a hug. Oh, so it's an emo kid.
Great.
I mean, it's gonna be all the dark, serious music. Then you gotta get Batman to sing about darkness. No parents.
Don't diss Batman.
I'm referencing the Lego Batman movie. Come on.
Oh, okay. I stand
The only song I acknowledge Batman singing is "I'm Blue."
Nice.
A superstitious, cowardly love.
Oh, that's a good one.
Their evil schemes all come to naught.
Oh,
Remember
man.
that from Batman.
You're in the right
Beyond,
mood for that
Terry
one.
drags Bruce to Batman the musical, and Bruce is like, "You hate me, don't you?"
Oh no, that's what you were talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking of the
God,
Music
poor
Meister episode of Brave and the Bold.
Don't know that,
I
but
don't think he's seen.
Oh,
Brave and
it's
Bold.
so good.
I made this
It's like
man
all
watch.
your favorite
well, I say
American
made.
voice actors singing.
When the DVD
Okay.
set came out, he bought it for me, and then we were living together at the time, and so we binged the heck out of BTS.
Hmm.
I don't think you've seen Brave and the Bold, but it is a good one.
I do not believe so. No.
It's very
And-
camp.
oh yes, it's like '60s Batman, but on steroids because it's animated.
Good.
And the last playlist they have is the OP white-haired sensei. Underneath their cool, unbothered exterior, this character is an enigma to be unraveled. I mean, they're going for moods, I guess, but like, who decides what fits what mood? A lot of tracks can fit multiples of these. What are you gonna do if you bring in something like? I mean, it's too old to be in here, but well, maybe they could do it. I wouldn't be opposed. But where are you gonna put Libra Me from Hell? Is that The Journey Begins? Is that the broody black-haired MC?
No, it's not the brooding one.
No, not really. But I mean, you got the whole sad opening.
Yeah.
And it's not really The Journey Begins though either. It's more like
The
that
OP
climactic
white-haired sensei. I was like, okay, so you're
Mm.
just alluding to Gojo and Kakashi, right?
I mean, yeah. I'm glad this is a thing. It's actually a great idea. But yeah, no, these categories are very strange.
I'll stick to making my own playlist, thanks.
Yeah. They will also make sure to let you know they have their own podcast. The Anime Effect. I'm like, okay. Cool.
I've listened to some of those, and they're not bad.
No, I wouldn't imagine it'd be bad. I mean, you got people behind there who hopefully care about what they're working with.
Ah, yes, the people that run that podcast definitely care about anime more than the people that own the company.
I mean, I believe that. I actually believe that quite a bit.
Yeah. Own the company, I can believe it. Operate the company, I'd have to meet them.
Well, the next piece of news is a bit old at this point because we've had some of these reveals since, but Eiichiro Oda gives an update on live action One Piece Season 2 because there's some casting coming for Robin and Vivi and Chopper, and well, we've had Vivi since, and we've also had several others, but it's really nice to see Eiichiro Oda being very hands-on this project. I think that's why Season 1 ended up as well as it did. And just, it's exciting to see where this is going to go.
Absolutely. Also, he drew cute little pictures of the cast as their characters.
He did, which is absolutely awesome. And I love his description of various things. Like, which makes Matt the showrunner go, ah! And Netflix go, no! And the Tomorrow Studios go, what? And then, okay, he's having fun. And I'm glad, because it shows in the final product, and look forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah. I'll say this about live action One Piece. They continue to cast ridiculously attractive people as every character.
They do!
Like, even... Okay, so they recently cast the King of Alabasta. I was like, dang, I've never been so attracted to the King of Alabasta.
Yeah, he's kind of like this old fart kind of a guy in the anime, and that's like...
Even Wapple is, kind of good looking.
Well, that might be bad casting.
Well, I mean, Hollywood threw out all the good-looking people, apparently. So
I think that should be their tagline for advertising. One Piece live action. We make you question your sexuality.
It's yeah, that's
That's
definitely
gonna be a
happening.
hard
Oh
sell.
man,
isn't
Okay,
that
so
anime in general?
Ark, does that make it more or less likely for you to watch it?
But no effect, because I've got a pretty good handle on who and what I am. It's complicated.
I'm teasing you anyway. I'm just curious.
heard an unfortunate tidbit that the people making the show, they really wanted to properly adapt Zoro and Sanji's fights in Arlong Park, but they just didn't have the time to do it.
They gave us little hints. I mean, we got, Sanji calling Zoro Mosshead, which made me smirk.
Of course.
They gave us a little bit, but yeah, it would have been nice to have more. But
if all these other characters are so attractive, I'm like, oh no,
there goes
whoever
Sanji.
they get for Crocodile is going to be deadly handsome.
Oh no, that is gonna be a thing.
I'm will say though, I think sometimes that something you can't get out of live action that you do specifically get out of anime is the quirky character designs, specifically meant to sort of mimic the quirky personalities. So they are almost like comically quirky, if you will. Like they're designed to look a little ridiculous,
Mhm.
you know, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
instead we do the live
absolutely.
action and everybody's beautiful. Like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
well,
you
no, and
sort
then-
of got the idea, not quite.
You're absolutely right when you're comparing to like characters like Wapple, who is comically ugly to match the personality.
Well, you know, they can do a lot with prosthetics and such.
Yeah, they can. They can.
Yeah.
And they definitely will, because they did.
Yeah, he's gotta have like a metal jaw anyway.
He does need to have a big metal jaw. So, you know.
And props to them for actually putting prosthetics on an actor instead of saying, "Oh, we'll just CGI it."
That
which
is one of
always
the
looks
best
horrible.
things about season 1 arc is that they absolutely use. They do use CGI when they need to, like, you know, Luffy's little, you know, stretchy arms. That's CGI.
And
They use a
monsters.
lot of practical
Right, but
effects.
it's a tool in the box rather than this phase that people went through. Cough, Lucas, cough. Where it's like, okay, we're gonna make everything completely CGI for no reason.
Yeah. No,
Now there is a time and a place. Like Gollum, for example, could really not have been done with a live actor, but they did that very well, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. It's not.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of the CGI you see is they don't want to spend the zillion bucks they put into Gollum and the other stuff in Lord of the Rings to make it look good. So you wind up with shit CGI.
There seems to be at least a hint that, based on casting, that Heavy Point Chopper could potentially be a guy in prosthetics.
That would be interesting. I'm still very, very, very much hoping that we get a return from the anime for Chopper, because I would love to hear Brina Palencia in live action One Piece.
She's SAG-AFTRA. Could happen.
But I think that's about all we can say about live action One Piece. And now something arc you could probably talk about a little bit more freely, because we actually watched the first episode of this. But Crunchyroll revealed the Delico's Nursery English dub cast and crew and release date, which is in the past at this point, because it is on there now. But the main character Dolly is voiced by Derek Snow, Shinra Kusakabe in Fire Force, and Doki Baragaki in Shy. Gearhard is voiced by Kieran Flitton, Draught in Freerun, and Lemmings in Deadmouth Deathplay. And holy cow, I just because I've actually seen the episode, nailing Gearhart, because oh my gosh, this character is a strange mix of both. I want to punch you, and I also somewhat feel bad for you.
He has issues that need to be worked out. I think he's going to have a wonderful arc.
I agree. Enrique, voiced by Ryan Negron, Mazon in The Great Cleric, and Keith Powell in Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. Dino, voiced by John Bergmeyer, Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho, and relevant to this, Zarin in Spice and Wolf. And I will credit everyone that I saw in here that was in Spice and Wolf on this list, because I have to credit them again when we get to Spice and Wolf. Angelica, voiced by Danny Chambers, Chise Hattori in Ancient Magus Pride, and Lee Juhi in Solo Leveling. Clara, voiced by Linda K. Leonard, Akiko Hitori, that's Chise's mom in Ancient Magus Bride, and Ms. Brown in Tact Op Destiny, a very underrated show that I wish had a home video release, Crunchyroll. Klaus, voiced by Blake McNamara, Lugner in Freerun, our favorite demon that we refer to repeatedly that is very interesting, and Woody Bala in Tsukimichi. Elena is voiced by Molly Zhang, Gyokuyo in The Apothecary Diaries, one of the best characters in Apothecary Diaries, actually, and Akane Nishimura in My Clueless First Friend, in which that's another one I haven't heard of in a minute, but that was also a fun one. Ferdinand, voiced by Sonny Franks, who I, at a glance, was like, wait, Sonny Strait? No. Sonny Franks, who is Wolf's Roseguard in Cautious Hero, and there's a lot of there are other credits, but they're small. It's like some bit characters in Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Super in general. He apparently voiced Wilhelm in Isekai Quartet 2, and I got really excited when I saw Wilhelm before I realized, oh, that's just that particular version of the character. But happy to have some newcomers alongside some
Welcome.
voices that I recognize, so it's a good mix. Frida voiced by the woman, the myth, the legend, and Colleen Clinkenbeard. That's Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece or Scarlet Fairy Tale, including the new fairy tale that's going on right now. It might be my favorite voice actress. I'm not biased or anything. I don't know why. I don't know. Possibly know why I like her so much.
Moving on.
Then there's Johannes, voiced by Jeremy Schwartz, the Black King in Drifters, who I think is supposed to be an evil version of Jesus. And both Z and Ors Jr. in One Piece, and Z, of course, in One Piece Film Z. Lucia, voiced by Leah Clark, Nora Ardent in Spice and Wolf, and Kobe in One Piece. Catalina, voiced by Oscar Seung, Poison Mist Assassin in Spy Family, and that stupid singing ship that Big Mom has in One Piece. Oh god, I hate that stupid ship. But hey, they do a great job of pissing me off as that ship. So hey, that's good voice acting in my book.
I just love the strong reaction you had to that. So
That's literally how he wrote it in the notes.
I wrote it in the notes, and I did it for a reason because I hate that stupid ship. I really do.
Okay.
I mean, and he goes from Shippy. I'm like, go away.
Shippy McShipface.
Pretty much, actually, you're not even wrong. Anyway, Keith, voiced by Dallas Reed. That's a well-known voice actor. That's awesome in Black Clover. Makoto Misumi in Tsukimichi. Very classic voice actor choice. Juris, voiced by David Wald. Godjiel in Fairy Tail, and the Human King in Hulk. Kiki, voiced by Kate Bristol. Chiffon in One Piece, and Kisa Soma in Fruits Baskets 2019, which I still need to watch.
it's super cute.
I mean, it's Fruit Baskets. I mean, I've always meant to get back to it, but you know. And then
I don't think I've heard of it.
You probably would like Fruits Basket. That might be one you and I can watch.
Okay.
Abraham, voiced by Davon Oliver. Martin Chandler in Ancient Magus Pride, and the Eternity Devil in Chainsaw Man. Morris, voiced by Greg Dulce. Smoker in One Piece. And Dominic Lecoult in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Raphael, voiced by Madeline Morris. Tayo Takada in My Clueless First Friend. The aforementioned Clueless First Friend. And Kabane Kusaka in Kimono Jihen. Another show I wish would come back soon. And then voiced by Sarah Ragsdale. Lilik Kadoka Lipati in Mobile Suit Gundam Witch from Mercury. Another thing I need to watch. Probably just murder that character's name. And Alicia Christella in How to Not to Summon a Demon Lord. A show I wish I hadn't seen, but I did. At least the first season. Alright, and our last bit of news. HIDIVE announces the voice cast for and information for Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero. Now, it said that was supposed to come out August 20th, which is a couple days behind us now, but when we looked yesterday for it, it wasn't actually up yet. So I don't know when that's up. Let me see if they actually put it up yet. I'm gonna do some live reporting from the HIDIVE website, you guys.
Yeah, and allow me to take this opportunity to once again call out HIDIVE for when you go to search on HIDIVE, the first results are just episode titles. it should first show you, okay, what hits, if any, did we get for shows.
That doesn't even
And
make
then
sense.
No, it doesn't
No,
make any
it doesn't
sense.
make sense.
Yeah, he's been mad about this for a while, and I don't blame him.
Oh god, no! This is pure IT rage. And while OK is looking, let me just
I
yell
already
at something
can tell
else.
you, but go ahead. It's not
Okay, well,
actually
just
there yet.
I'm not going to bother looking up which websites. You know who you are. But we were looking for another friend of ours, our Dragon. We were looking to find a comprehensive list of all of the RPGs that it came out for the Game Boy Advanced. And there's a number of different databases online. Should be simple enough, right? And there are lots of them that have, you could search by platform, you can search by genre, etc. It took me 30 minutes to find one where I could apply multiple filters. What the fuck is wrong with you people? What is the point of having a database if you can't advanced search it? Ugh.
You had one job territory.
Yes, that is.
Yeah,
you
well,
had one
it's
job
like, okay, what is the point of this thing existing that you obviously had to have put a lot of work into to make this? This is not a small amount of information. Okay, what is the point of making this and then putting it live if it cannot be used? Ugh. And I work for a software company where a database is at the heart of our product. So believe me, I know what I'm talking about.
I do believe you. I love
That's
how
probably
passionate
where
you are
your
about
passion's coming from, to be honest. So, for the English cast here, for level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero.
Reporting live from the HIDIVE website.
Oh no, this I got ready with, although I am reading it off the HIDIVE website, because the HIDIVE website actually, unlike the Crunchyroll website, doesn't just list the cast. It tells me who they're known for. I don't have to go on my anime list and figure it out and put it in a document.
That's nice.
I mean,
That
there are
is
cases
nice.
where I just know, but a lot of times
Well,
I'm like, I don't.
is the dub actually up yet?
No.
Okay.
I had that
All
information a
right.
minute
So
ago.
that answers that question. So there's been some sort of production delay. Anyway, who
Which
are we
is funny
looking
because
forward
they're
to?
saying episode 2 is going to be out in 2 days, which is hilarious.
Maybe they'll put up both.
Maybe they'll put up both in 2 days. I'll be down for that. But our main character, I assume our main character, because it's giving us descending order here. Max is voiced by Joe Daniels, who is Leo Demonheart in I'm Quitting Heroing. That was actually a really fun show. The Demon Lord is voiced by Brittany Karbowski. Rimuru Tempest, at that time I got reincarnated as a slime. So they're only doing one.
Oh dear, buckle up.
Yeah, no, that's actually going to be a lot of fun.
Oh god, yes.
Onego, voiced by Olivia Swayze, Echidna in I'm Quitting Heroing. Wow, we got a lot of I'm Quitting Heroing going on in here. Not that I object. Captain Galmoff / Hayward, John Swayze, all for one in My Hero Academia. Demetrius, Jack Stansbury, Aquamarine Hoshido in Oshino Ko. Wow, that's always fun to see. Demon Lord of Yore, Cyrus Rodus Ushgarn in Ragnar Crimson. Petra / Sezek, that's Monica Rial, which that's a well-known voice actress, but they're crediting her for Tomochika Danora in My Instant Death Ability is Overpowered.
What a thing to credit her for.
Right?
Of all of her work.
I mean, I guess it's their most recent, because they are currently simuldubbing that, so they're like, hey, are you watching this? Which, by the way, we are, and having watched the sub,
it's on their own platform. Of course, they're going to mention that.
They're doing a good job of mixing their platform and other platforms, though.
Yeah, John Swayze was listed for My Hero Academia.
Right.
So.
But referencing a current show that they have, they're not going to not do that.
Yeah, that is not what I would have done for Monica Rial, but you know what? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
No, and in fact, if they had failed to do that, given that it's current and it's theirs, I would have said someone needs to slap that person upside the head for not doing that.
They're literally only doing one, so
Mhm.
I always like to do two, mainly because I try to go for what is the audience likely to recognize, and I also try to go for what is ARC likely to recognize, because ARC's anime is very all over the place. It's not.
It's mostly what you've shown me.
I know. Let's see. We have Distill / Lim, which is Kara Greenberg. Chigusa Hitachi in Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? A show I still need to watch. Franca / Ghost. Alyssa Hular, Gamma in the Eminence in Shadow. Well, that's a good pick. One of Ark and my favorite voice actors, Adam Gibbs, is playing Fred. Sid Kagano in Eminence in Shadow, but I'm gonna personally add wow, I can't think of his first name right now.
Shinichi and Parasite.
No, I'm thinking of Natsume.
Ah, yes, Natsume.
Oh
Book
god,
of
what is
Friends.
his first name? Takashi.
Takashi Natsume in Book of Friends, which, oh my god, I love this dub so much. So yeah, happy to
Yeah,
see him.
I always think back to Miss What's Her Face yelling Takashi. That's how I remember his first
That's
name.
actually not a bad way to remember that. Miss
It's the only time you
Fujiwara,
hear it.
Yeah, well, he says his name sometimes too. It's like, I'm not Reiko! But yeah, Simuldub Saints listeners might remember that we both gave Adam Gibbs a voice actor award in our awards ceremony for last season for 2 separate characters.
Yep.
Natsume and I can't even remember the night guy's name, but the night guy in Most Heretical Last Boss Queen.
Oh yeah, what was his name?
He was amazing in both roles. So
Yeah,
happy
I
to
know
see
who you
him.
mean.
We're kind of going nuts on this guy, but I like Adam Gibbs. George / Sigutani. I'm not sure if the characters are slash or it's just they gave multiple roles to the same person. I'm going to go with the second, is most likely when they do that. Kyle Kobe Jones, Dix Perdix, and Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon 3? Okay. Grims is voiced by Jay Hickman. Thinker in Suicide Squad Isekai. I need to watch more of that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I did like it. Hecate or Hecate, probably Hecate. Samantha.
Hecate.
It could be Hecate.
That's traditionally how you pronounce that.
It's anime, who knows? Samantha Stevens, Miyako Kodama in Bloom Into You. That's one I have not seen. Joe Cameron Numley, Aron Ojiro, and Haikyuu to the top. And I'm going to make poor Meowth very sad that I have not watched much of that. Leo, voiced by Michael Ronsky. Kentaro Kyotani in Haikyuu, the second season. Lord Behemoth Satoru, voiced by Shannon Reed. Akira Ike in Dark Gathering. That's one I definitely watched. Metachild, voiced by Patricia Duran. Iris Midgar in The Eminence in Shadow. They're definitely pushing their own dubs for the most part. Mizuhara / Yosuke's mother is voiced by Maggie Fleckno. I hope I've said that name right. I am really bad at pronunciations today.
I think that's correct.
Shikoku in Chain Soldier, the show that they decided to dub for reasons. Rebecca, voiced by Kira Vincent Davis. Vermilio in Helk. That's a good choice. Reinhardt, voiced by Brandon Heemsberger. That's Wazukian. Oh, Wazukian in Maid of Abyss, the second season with the Gold City. I remember Wazukian. I actually do remember the character for once.
Oh wait, I thought Jay Hickman voiced that guy. Oh, I must have had it wrong on that whole time.
That's this is according to HIDIVE, so I assume
I think I just assumed.
I would just assume they know what they're talking about, but I don't know. Sarah and / Yvonne, voiced by Cheney Moore. Young Aquamarine Hoshino in Oshinoko. Trigorin, voiced by Joe Daniels. And, they're going to make me look up Joe Daniels.
No, you've already
Sounds
talked
familiar.
about Joe Daniels. He was Max.
You're right! I'm like, why is it not there? Oh, gosh, it's Leo Damonhart and Whittaker. Everyone else, they just did.
And your boy Kong Ming.
He is your boy Kong Ming.
You know, it's weird that he's listed separately.
Yeah,
there.
whenever
Okay,
else
I
it
guess
says
so.
Flash is.
If he was in Kongming, why didn't they list him for that?
Well, because they decided quitting harrowing, although I would have gone with Kong Ming. But yeah, it is weird that
There's
they
at
have
least
him.
a few people here that got listed twice.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, no, maybe only just one.
I'm only seeing him, yeah. Everyone
That's
else, they have
weird.
multiple. It looks like they just had the slash going on.
Yeah, they had the slash going on, which indicates that they're voicing more than one character, I believe, rather than.
I'm wondering if because
character
he's
has
the
two
main
names.
character, so they didn't want to share
Yeah.
spotlight with that. That's my guess.
Maybe.
Okay.
What they should have wrote was Joe Daniels, voice of the main character. Look above.
Yeah, for idiots like
Or
me,
just
reading-
see above, perhaps.
See above.
See above. That would have been great. Vodka, voiced by Ty Mahani. Ragna and Ragna Crimson. That's a great choice. Definitely want to hear him again. Will, voiced by Matthew David Rudd. Rack Wraithriser in the Tower of God. I don't remember that character in Tower of God, but it's been a minute since I've seen season 1. Yosuke, voiced by Callan Coates. Chi in The Eminence of Shadow. I might be Kalen Coates. I'm smart.
Just there. You were so close.
I know,
So close.
I'm bad. Yuria, voiced by Alyssa Marek. Ruby in Oshinoko. Zeman, Adam Noble. Masayuki Hori in Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. Wow, they found an anime I've never heard of. But they're
Oh my gosh. My sister's obsessed
There's a
with
link. Let's take a
Nozaki-kun.
look.
I've already clicked on that link. Okay,
It's
already
super,
something
super
that
cute show.
I
It's
probably
super
would
cute.
watch. But I mean, teach their
It's
own.
a very fun show.
Okay.
Yeah.
The simple description makes me curious.
And then
It seems like a very silly relationship drama.
lastly on here
Yeah,
is
it is, but in a fun way.
all right then. Well, maybe I'll give it a try sometime. The last listing is Natalie Rial, Kana Arima in Oshinoko. So my ability to pronounce names notwithstanding, that actually looks like a pretty good cast.
You made a valiant effort.
I did. Apparently the studio for this is Silverlink, guys who animated Ragnar Crimson. That's a good sign. That was very pretty. Good show to watch. But yeah. Of course, it's already made its full run sub, so that if you're not really caring about the dub, you can already watch it. But if you are caring about the dub, hopefully in 2 days when they put that second episode up, they'll put the first episode up as well, because it's not there yet. But that is all of the news that I have, at least. And so that brings us into our topic, which brings this eclectic cast of people who talk about anime together here. Because we're talking about Spice and Wolf. Merchant means the wise wolf. At least the first core. Second core is
To be
still
clear, that if this is the remake, not the original from 2008.
It is,
which
the
is
remake,
important
yes.
distinction because they were a lot of the voice actors reprise their roles, especially most importantly the two main characters, Holo and Lawrence, and it's a lot like the old one. And I know Sketch and I watched the original, and you guys this will have been your first watch, right?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. I had seen a lot of Holo around various places on the net, but I didn't know who she was.
I always meant to get to Spice and Wolf. It was on my forever backlog, and then they put the DVD out of print, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I kind of wanted to buy that one.
I mean, I have to say, and Sketch can maybe he has a different opinion, but I don't really think you need to, because the plot points are almost exactly the same.
Not only do I know this because I've been told that this is the more book accurate version.
Yeah, but like, I didn't see, there weren't too many. I was watching it and I was thinking, I was trying to figure out what they changed. I mean, the pacing's a little different. there was an original character in the 2008 version that's not in this version, which is fine.
And that character apparently took the role of Yare, who's not in the original, but in the books and is here. That is the only character I found that I had to go, oh, that's just voiced by, not reprised, because they weren't in the original. Cool.
Yeah. But the story, I mean, they follow the plot points almost exactly the same as I recall them doing in 2008. I'm not complaining.
No, I believe you, because when I went to grab information on what happened, because the remake is so new, the only descriptions are very, very vague. I kind of borrowed a little bit from the old show and kind of cut parts. I'm like, I don't think we had that. So I think I know who your original character is, because I had to edit that out.
Chloe.
Yep.
Chloe is the original character.
Did see that name.
And because it was meant to sort of shore up a plot hole that they hadn't, because they hadn't exactly followed the narrative of the manga when they did the first series, and obviously we'll talk about the storyline, but in the first sort of arc of the first part of this season involves Holo getting kidnapped and then them trying to circumvent being scammed by one of the trading companies trying to speculate on silver, and all of that. So they had this young woman who wanted to be Lawrence's partner. Like I didn't really care for her in the first one, and it's a lot easier to dislike the guy who plays that role in this.
Yare is so hateable. I love it though. He's credit to Austin Tyndall who voices him, Ruth and Ancient Makes Pride and Gabriel and Rieslein. He makes this guy like I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's a good place for us to start on main cast and voice actors. Holo is reprised by Brina Palencia, which, as for aforementioned, is Tony Chopper in One Piece, and CL Phantom Hive in the various Black Butlers.
Yeah, and I went on a whole gushing rant about her performance in our award ceremony. So go watch that if you want to hear me.
Oh yeah,
gush like a little girl.
She does a great job. Something that you said, I'm not sure if you said it on recording or if you said it when we were just talking, the two of us. Both Brina Palencia and J. Michael Tatum, who voices Kraft Lawrence, the other main character, Tenya Ida in My Hero Academia, Sebastian, the other in all the other Black Butlers. So we have Black Butler also going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
But they know their characters well enough, and it shows, and it really does. I can feel that they're using the knowledge that they have from their first time going through to inform their performances this time. I can feel that in the way that they're doing things, and I love it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad they picked the characters. They picked the same actors that they were able to reprise their roles. So you because if you'd watched the original, like that was the character you came to know. So you're just revisiting that same character with those same VAs. But it was it was hard for me still to tell why, though. I would point out, so I don't know. I know I've talked about on Tommy Faithful podcast how I love classic films. And one of the things that they do a lot in classic films is remake the same film with a different cast years later. It was very common through the 30s and 40s and 50s Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not common. I don't feel like I see that as much in anime without them doing major changes, or because they're like, but this one is just so similar, except for A, the original character, and B, there's a lot less holo nudity in the remake than I remember there being in the 2008. Sketch is laughing because he knows I'm right. There's quite a bit
I've seen
just enough to show that she doesn't particularly care about that sort of thing.
I've seen a music video made for the original to know enough to say, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, nobody inspires quite that much hentai without a good reason.
God.
The 2000s anime time, it was a different time. A time of zero-G boobies in Gundam openings.
Oh, God, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. I will say, yeah, we usually don't see voice actor changes unless one, it changes companies, in which case they will absolutely do that. Much to the
Yeah.
annoyance of the anime fan base, we tend to really like keeping our voice actors with our
Yes.
characters.
When possible,
When
yes.
possible. I am that guy for a lot of shows. I have trouble watching some of the seasons of Sayuki because of that. Thanks, Jenny on. You're still plaguing me with those 2 seasons. Jerks.
Oh yeah, that one shifted hands a lot.
Yeah, thankfully they got the when it came back in modern times, they at least kept the main 2 characters the same from the first one, which makes me happy. I mean, David Matronga and Greg Ayers are nice to hear, but
You can't have anybody else voice Goku.
no, you can't. But they did though.
They did.
And it hurts. It really hurts. Like, that's not Goku. What's wrong with you guys?
He was just he was fighting a cold the whole time.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in for our worlds to be rocked whenever we get the cast for Ranma.
Oh, that's gonna be tough because that's Netflix. There's no way they got the same people.
Yeah. Though, amusingly, there is at least a slight possibility that there could be a separate Canadian dub at some point.
That's actually pretty great.
Ooh.
I mean, not
Okay.
unheard of. They have there's stuff like that where Netflix dubbed it and then somebody else dubbed it for home video. So that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just before it slips my goldfish brain here, just to circle back to something Kuro said, where you don't see a lot of remakes in anime. The only other one that I can think of, from my very limited knowledge, was Full Metal Alchemist, and then with
And they
Brotherhood. But
absolutely
there was a
kept
very
those
good
casts.
reason for that, right? And there was
Well-
a very good reason for the remake.
Didn't Hunter x Hunter?
Yep, Hunter
Yeah.
x Hunter, and
Yeah.
that is
Hunter
a
x
complete. You want a different cast? There's your different cast.
That's a completely different cast.
Yeah.
Which
But in general,
honestly is
no,
for the
you-
best. I did like the old Hunter x Hunter cast, but they're nowhere near as good.
Yeah, the guy who was Hisoka was pretty good, but otherwise.
I like the old Kurapika quite a bit, but
Yeah, they were okay.
nowhere near as good as what we got in the 2011 dub, though.
No.
Another case of remake would be like Dragon Ball Z Kai, although there have been so many voice actors for Dragon Ball Z's English dubs.
Yeah,
Especially if
they-
it's out
they-
of America.
With Kai, it was a legitimate decision from Sabat to be like, okay, I'm tired of playing half these characters or more, so let's divvy out some of these roles.
Well, that is how we got the
That's
iconic
fair.
Chris Ayers Frieza, which I am very grateful for.
Yes.
He's the one that passed away, correct?
Yes.
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 Oh,
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. Absolutely. Absolute tragedy. Man.
so God love best, die young.
Yeah.
So it's
We've had our bumps in the anime community on that front, recently especially. Mentioned on a individual recording, but yeah, we did lose a legend recently, which yeah, that. Anyway, I don't want to retread my ground on Rachel Ellis, but it was sad to see her pass away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, there aren't that many anime remakes, and you're right. A lot of the time when they happen, they do like to keep their voice. Although sometimes we get redubs when it's not a remake, like Gundam Seed getting its remaster, they redubbed it. Escaflowne getting its remastered footage, they redubbed
Yes.
it. So that
But it's
does
definitely
happen.
not the same.
No.
Because they had to, like, there's a whole animation team involved in all of this and script writing, and it's a whole entire thing. And this is not at all meant to be a criticism, more like I'm curious about what led to this decision, because it's obviously not cheap. Why not just continue the series, pick it up from where the other one left off? Because they didn't deviate too egregiously in the original. As far as I've seen up to the point that I've watched, it was just the differences were a little bit more precise with regards to the original story.
Yeah, most don't pull a Blue Exorcist.
No.
Oh gosh.
And then, and the
no.
best part about the difference between the two with Blue Exorcist is then when they made seasons 2 and 3, you have to pretend like the ending never fucking happened.
Yeah, you're just like,
They just picked
everything
up from
after a
midway
certain
through.
episode, you're just like, no, that
Question,
doesn't
Kuro,
exist.
question: is the animation in the new version with modern animation techniques? Would you say it's significantly better than the original animation, or no?
I mean, it's not. I'm not curious to see what Sketch says, but I didn't think it was noticeable enough to be significant. I could definitely tell. I could tell there were some things that were a little sharper and the coloring was a little bit more modern, but it wasn't like if you look at some really excellent and beautifully animated shows, like Ninja Kamui or what's the one that we never talk about? The Pirate Princess, Fena Pirate Princess, where you see very clearly it's a gorgeously animated series. This looks good. I could watch the original and not be disappointed though either. And I don't mean this as a criticism. It's just an observation. But I'm curious what Sketch thinks.
Both are kind of entrenched in the current aesthetics of anime at the time.
Yes.
If you compared Spice and Wolf to other anime in 2008, you'd notice that Holo looks very much like lots of other anime girls from that time.
Yes.
And this one is making a more conscious effort to look more like the original art, apparently.
Yeah, that was gonna be the thing I was gonna mention. I
think that's a good change.
Yeah, she's not as sexy, I would say.
Well, definitely. I can't even imagine how sexy the original was, because
I know she's
well,
super cute.
In the soul deep, in the soul deep sense, Holo
she
is
was
just
kind of a big deal back then.
There is a reason, Orc, that you saw her in the places you saw her.
Well,
right.
also that you saw her nude in the places you saw her.
Right. Well, there's that, but I mean, I was just being a wise ass, but saying, it's not just, her physical appearance. There's just the way she conducts herself and Brina's performance. She is insanely sexy in a very deep level, much more so than you usually get.
She's a little more classy. Her speech patterns are a lot more formal in this. That I noticed right away, that she has a very antiquated way of speaking compared to Lawrence. So it's definitely meant to convey her age, that she has this more refined way of speaking that doesn't really fit the vernacular of the merchants and the villagers that Kraft and the rest of them are interacting with. I did notice that.
She has this again. She's old, so that has both good and bad to it in her experience. And it's interesting how they play off of that, where a lot of the time she's running rings around Lawrence because she's seen so many people and stuff. But on the other hand, there are other times where she just doesn't understand what's going on, because it's all new, and it's interesting how they play off each other like that.
Yeah, I feel like I derailed you from listing your cast there, Laser.
No, this was interesting. Look, I will list cast, but this was interesting, and I'm happy you guys did have the insight, especially referring to the old show, because I've seen an anime music video where they literally did it to What Does the Fox Say. That is my experience of the old Spice and Wolf.
Now I have to see this, and you have to drop it in the chat.
I will have to find it because I saved it off YouTube ages ago. I don't know if it's still there. But
so we're at Zarin though, right? Who you mentioned earlier.
Zarin,
who gives me vibes of he hits at girls at gym and working out at the gym. That's the vibe I get from him.
He's got a bit of a shady feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
just enough to make you uncomfortable, but he's like, but I'm a nice guy. You're like, sure.
I mean,
nice guy, I swear.
Yeah. I'm sure you think you are.
He's Kraft's merchant buddy, and he gives him some help here and there. So he's a little shady though, so it's like he's right on that line where it's like, I don't know what to think of you.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that Kraft sees him as a buddy, just as a business acquaintance. So
I was using the term loosely.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, because he's trying to scam him, and they figure that out fairly quickly in an elegant sort of way. That Holo's like her ears. She could have her use her extrasensory skills to determine like that the sound of the new and the old Trenny silver indicated a devaluation in the amount of silver in the coins. And just so people know, if you have not watched this show, yes, there is a really adorable fox goddess. However, it's about economics, and it's
Wolf.
about it's about economics. Fox. I don't know why I said fox. Wolf. Yes.
I
Wolf.
mentioned where's the fox
if you
say?
didn't know, you would think she was a fox.
No, that
but
was you.
she'll
That's
rip your
because you
face
did the
off.
"What does the fox say?"
It's
later.
absolutely
You
my fault.
fucked me.
It
You
is my
completely
fault.
fucked it up. Yes.
I will take blame for that because I did mention that music video. Which, when we're done, maybe I'll just show it to everybody.
I did feel like the economics discussions were a lot more comprehensive than they were in the original. Original, I felt a little convoluted, but in this one, or maybe I'm just smarter. I don't know. But
Probably
I
a
felt
little
like
column
everything
A
was
and
more
a little column
comprehensive.
B. But yeah, Lawrence does a really good job of explaining stuff to
Yeah.
Holo and in turn to us.
It is the best economics class I've ever taken.
For micro, yeah.
But yeah, as
Yes.
mentioned, Zarin is doing the whole, hey, want to buy some of the new silver that's not worth as much, but I'm totally saying it is. Which does give Kraft through to Lichten Marlet, reprised by Christopher Sabat. Gee, who's Christopher Sabat, you guys?
Yeah, never heard
I'm
of that
not
guy.
sure if you may not have heard of him.
He's not famous at all.
No, I think he might be voice of this character named Vegeta and Piccolo, Kuwabara, All Might. Just some minor roles, really.
Roronoa Zoro.
Oh yeah, Roronoa Zoro. I always like to throw out Kikacho from Samurai 7.
Oh man,
Kikuchio!
he was so great in that
I
role.
loved
I know.
I
That's why
loved him in that role.
that was the role that made me a fan. 'Cause I know I am committing heresy here, but I didn't like him as Vegeta and Piccolo back in the day. I think he was great now.
I think I liked this Piccolo back then with Vegeta. Still too used to Brian
Kuwabara
Drummond.
took time to warm up to me. I like him now, but at the time I was just like, my first Yu Yu Hakusho was that Central Park Media movie dub, and I kind of like that Kuwabara better.
You fool. Yusuke isn't your only opponent. Did you forget that I'm still here, waiting to kick your ass?
Everyone else I liked Funimation better, but
I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but you did mention Samurai 7, and I have to say
Go for
that one of the reasons that Kikuchiyo's character is so fun is because of it's based off of Toshiro Mifune's acting of the same character from the 1954 movie, which you haven't seen. It's truly excellent. You get a really good sense of, like, if you watch the original film, you can see how much the anime makes an attempt to add the characterizations of the samurai that they gleaned from the original movie, including Toshiro Mifune, who's a legendary Japanese actor from classic Japanese film from the 50s and 60s and such. So yeah, I definitely recommend watching it. If you liked the anime, you would definitely like the film. Just saying.
That's a good plug, and
Yes.
I've heard much the same. I still need to get around to it. That's one of my sins, but it's on my backlog.
We just need to accept that these lists that are ever growing, you either get to it or you don't, and someone will talk about it, and you'll be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch that one day."
Yeah,
That's
pretty
the
much.
furthest you get.
Mm-hmm.
So
reality
before we
being
move too far on from Lawrence himself, I just want to say something about him is that he's kind of the most low-key cool, and I don't want to say badass because that's a certain kind of cool, but he's got a coolness and strength to him that's very, very different from I think any other protagonist I've seen in anime, which is, he's not, and actually Holo takes him to task for this more than once. It's like, why aren't you, standing up and roaring and punching like a male should? And he's got this very different kind of strength to him, which is, courage, yes, but also his brains and just his willingness to endure. I think this is shown most clearly at this point in the story where they're completely he's completely down and out. He basically had bet too much on this
You're
one particular
jumping
deal.
ahead.
Right, but just let me talk.
Okay.
And so not to go into details, but basically he just, even though it seems completely pointless, he just keeps going, trying to salvage the situation, even when it seems almost like his efforts are getting to the point of being past pathetic. He just keeps
He
going,
does keep
and
going,
does
although
not
he-
give up.
He doesn't
Yeah,
give up,
I-
although he does hit a breaking point in that part, which we'll
I
get
lo-
to.
I
Right,
love
but then he pulls
Lawrence,
himself
though.
back together and keeps
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
He is a great protagonist because he's kind of an everyman.
Mhm.
Right.
He's not like super special snowflake like we get a lot of these male protagonists. He's like someone that you could probably know or relate to. And the thing is about him is that he is cunning, but he also gets scammed a lot too.
He
So like you can
does.
see how someone who is still smart and clever, who has managed to make it this far as a merchant, still manages to get screwed over. But then the way he finds his way out of these, with obviously the help of the wise wolf, like that is such an interesting dynamic. And he's so sweet. I love it. He tells Holo at one point that she's precious to them. Their dynamic is like the way their friendship grows and deepens throughout this part of the series is really nice to watch. It's really fun. I mean, it's obviously provocative because it's like,
Mhm.
you know, they're definitely leading up to a deeper attachment to each other. But just watching that friendship blossom as it is, and their awkward attempts at flirting is pretty cute too.
Yeah. So just two more points. One, I think this type of courage I was talking about, it's something that's much more of a practical example for normal people that we could look
Yeah.
to. And two, I just, this isn't who he is, but if I was in his position, first of all, Paula wouldn't have any interest in someone like me. But secondly, if I was in his position, I would counterattack just a little bit more in the teasing. I think they might be in a more balanced dynamic if he did that a little more, but that's just not who he is.
He might be a bit of a bottom.
There's that, but also he's just not
100% he's a
and-
bottom.
I mean, not
But
that
maybe he's a power bottom.
Ooh.
that was a little more accurate, but it's more to the point where he doesn't he kind of goes along with stuff. He doesn't feel a need to appear in control.
He's
but
got
he does
a strongly
he does
agreeable personality. I think what you're
Yeah.
getting at.
and when he does think it's important, he does say, okay, this is what we're doing. So there's that. But also the fact that I don't think he's really even, not only does he not seem to have a lot of experience with women, he doesn't even seem to have thought about it before. It's like, it's been 12 years since I've had a date, but I think about it a lot. So it's like, okay, I could do this, I could do that. Now, how well it would work in the real world, who knows? But he hasn't even thought about it is the thing. So Holo, with her overpowering femininity and just flirting with him, a lot of the times he just doesn't know how to respond, and it's thoroughly adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a little awkwardness, but
Oh yeah.
it's
So in
still
that
he's
sense-
still charming, and yeah, he's a good everyman.
much
He
so.
makes for a really good character. I hate that he keeps getting scammed. I'm like, have you learned nothing? You've been doing this for years, dude.
I like that though because it's
well.
it's a flaw in the character that's relatable. And he doesn't get scammed by everything, but he does get scammed.
I think
Which
the overall thing is
Things
he's
happen.
too trusting.
Yes.
Well,
And
there's that, and also he's not the superpowered genius character. He is the normal person, and normal people take a lot of knocks as they go through life.
And like I said, he does have cunning of his own, but I think we're meant to see the difference between the cleverness and wisdom of Holo
Mhm.
versus his cunningness as a merchant, and where with that, how that dynamic comes into play with the situations they get themselves in, like this silver speculation. When he says initially, when Holo says, this he's lying, but I don't know what he's lying about. And he's like, I figured something was off, but he's like, it doesn't matter to me either way because I won't lose. Except he didn't account for the fact that the company, are they Medio? Is that the one that we're trying to speculate? That they would that they would take
Yeah, Medio's the other
their
side.
they would take their speculations so
Malone
seriously.
Trading Company is the one that they end up working with, which is run by Lichton Marlett, who's, like I mentioned, with Chris Sabat.
Yes.
That's the one they're working with, but the Medio Trading Company is kind of trying to counter that because they're trying
that's
to
what
run
I
the
meant.
scam.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like that they would try to kill and capture, that they were actually so aggressively trying to protect their own accumulation of silver that they would do so with deadly enforcement. Like that was the one thing he didn't account for. And he couldn't have, to be fair.
I love that it's freaking Yurei that is the person. Like, that's almost like a deep betrayal because Kraft's the one that taught Yurei how to be a merchant from the town that Toho was once a guardian of.
Yurei gives me Peaked in High School vibes.
Yeah, kind of.
There's that. There's also what's funny is he doesn't realize it because he made no other attempt to. But the other thing I get from him and the other people from that village is just vis-a-vis Holo is just this incredible sense of ingratitude.
Yeah.
Where, but again, you know, she explained this to Kraft, where she's been doing her best year in and year out, but she can't guarantee a good harvest every single year. The land has to rest. But there's the thing: no one in the village ever got that explanation, and they never thought about it. So, I get the sense entitled. That well, there's that, and I get the sense that maybe she should have talked to more people from the village here and there, and explained over the years. But
supernatural entities, they don't really tend to do that.
It's a bit of a metaphor for industrialization.
Yeah, it's on the responsibility of the people who were making this agreement to learn as much about it and understand it. So the village, it was on the villagers, and obviously they point out that it had been so long that she'd fallen into legend, even though for her that the time flows differently because she's a deity, but because they had stopped taking the agreement as a serious agreement, I think that made it. It's like that old adage about like the fairy creatures, like if you don't believe in them, how can you interact with them? So maybe the point where they stopped believing in her, they couldn't negotiate with her or talk to her in any significant way.
But on the other hand, how long has it been since she'd actually appeared to anybody? So it's one of these things that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and it's just very interesting. But I like that likening to the fairies because it's funny. When I worked at the Ren Fair, I was one of the in-character security, and I was very serious, very German, German mercenary. And so there are fairies at the fair, and they play with the little kids and stuff. And one of the things is me and the other people who are very, very serious, all the grown-ups, we can't see the fairies. And it was great. Cute. So, the trick is to focus on a point past them. So and that's how you don't look at somebody and don't notice them.
I like that.
It's surprisingly hard to learn, but oh god, the kids loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, so silver speculation.
Yes, so there's the new silver is not as pure of silver as the old silver. And so there's a whole scam going on here. But we get Holo spots through that, Kraft spots through that with her help, and ends up meeting up with Lichton Marlett, who is the head of the... Wow, there's so many trading companies.
Just like in real life.
They're the trading company that he works with regularly, and he makes the agreement with them to in order to secure his safety. He decides to tell them about the silver so they can buy up a portion of the old silver and he can get a piece of the profit. And in return, they were to help him and Holo and protect them, which is pretty wise. And they went about it. They end up going to
that's the Malone
the deity, not the deity, but the ruler who issued the new currency, and negotiating directly with him so that they could get around Medio's corruption, trying to buy the old silver. This way, if they informed the king of Trenny, who was the one issuing the new silver, directly, like, hey, someone's in on your devaluation of the currency. We want to work with you and sell you back as much of the old stuff as possible in exchange for keeping our people safe. So I thought that was a pretty clever and kind of an honest approach to the way Medio trading was trying to be scammy, and also just Yare's his that them pairing with the church and all that
Oh,
big
gosh. Yeah, like,
conspiracy.
Yare recognizes Holo, and I guess that's really our next plot point here, and decides, hey, they're trying to screw us over on the silver. Then while we're trying to screw other people over, how dare they try to screw us while we're trying to screw everyone else? How dare
Yeah.
they? I recognize the wolf. I wonder how if you've never seen her before, but okay. And he's like,
They see her ears and her tail.
yeah, but how he makes the connection that's my wolf, goddess lady. I have no idea how he jumps to that conclusion correctly, but he does. And he's like, I'm gonna capture her and Kraft, and he goes after them. Holo's like, yeah, how about no? Get out of here, Kraft. I'll catch up with you. And she manages to get herself captured while Kraft gets out. Kraft meets back up with Marla, who's like, well, we got this letter. I don't know what's going on, but this kind of is your problem, really. And Kraft's like, it's your problem too, or I'm not helping you. I love that.
We had an agreement.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see here in the next storyline in particular, agreements don't seem to matter much in this world.
Well, it's the kind of thing where, some people are trustworthy and some people are not. And at the end of the day, where do your priorities lie? You're not going to stick your head into potentially a fatal situation for somebody who is not one of your own, typically.
To be fair, once that's brought up to, Luchin's attention, he's like, all right, fine. And he does help him go to rescue Holo, which I love that whole entire sequence of getting him down where he can rescue her through the sewers and everything and being chased through there.
And she's mad because Lawrence isn't the one that rescued her directly, that one of the other guys from
I love the
Maloney.
little cute little fights these two get into. They're so real.
Right, because she has her conception of what a man should be or a male should be.
Yes.
And Lawrence, he's very manly, but he doesn't fit that stereotype at all.
No.
Is the thing. I think she's very confused by him.
Yeah.
No, I think that's absolutely a fair point. We get to the middle of this rescue, though, and that's where we see Yurei again. It was like, yeah, turn her over to us and we'll let you live. And, that Travis is just kind of like, no. He managed to get himself incapacitated. Holo gets pissed off, goes full wolf form, just absolutely trashes the Medio Trading Company thugs. Like, you were holding her hostage because she let you, you idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
the funny thing is Yurei honestly thought he was offering Lawrence a deal there.
He was.
Like, hey, just let the girl go and everything's going to be fine. I'm doing this as a favor to you, old man.
Yeah, there's pretty girls everywhere, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Skeevy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Not going to reprise the whole argument, but I think it's The Closer Look is one of a YouTube channel I like. He did a great breakdown of his theory of what makes certain villains so hateable, whereas others you certainly don't like them, you don't really hate them per se. It's a fantastic argument, and his argument is that the closer somebody is to being a normal person, a member of society, the more hateable it is when they do bad things. And because Yurei is, we all know people like this, that's what makes him so hateable.
That's actually a really good point, because something I'm about to make a complete and absolute tangent of a thing that I've observed, but I'm going to throw that at Hero
Tangent
Academia.
alarm.
I'm going to throw that at Hero Academia. Everyone wants to redeem all of the mass murdering psychopaths in the League of Villains in Hero Academia, but nobody likes Endeavor for good reason. But people get pissed off when he's trying to become a better person. Which is why I've long stated that's the best redemption arc in anime, period, because it hurts. We don't want to see him get better, but he's getting better. we want to stay mad at him. That's more, to me, that's more real than, oh, guy who blew up planets, oh, he married one of the main characters. That's fine now. We like you now, mass murderer guy.
Yeah, because it's so far out of our frame of reference, it doesn't feel real.
Exactly. And that's my connection point.
And that sort of thing, if you say, with that sort of pain, I would say those of us at least who grew up in some sort of Christian context, that's all the more of a challenge to us because the faith we were raised with is at least supposedly all about redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've had multiple close friends have arguments regarding Endeavor, who was an absolute abusive shithole who I do not like. But I'm like, hey, I'm liking this redemption arc because it's believable. Someone who screwed up their lives and the lives of their entire family all around them, did some awful, awful things, is trying to become a better person. I respect that even if I don't like the guy.
Yeah, and there's nothing that says you have to make friends with everybody. You just have to help them as you can.
But that's my go-to comparison for if Yorei got a redemption arc, we probably have the similar feelings. Like, you, dude, no, and it's because of how close it hits us. I think you're absolutely on the money.
Yeah, it's like, I wish you well, but I want nothing to do with you.
That's kind of how I feel about Endeavor, actually, if you want my honest opinion.
Fair enough.
I have a few family members that applies to as well.
There you go. There you I have some family members that I would say the same. So yeah, absolutely.
There's no one in my family who I want to hate, but there are certainly members of my extended family who I don't particularly go out of my way to spend time with for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far off that topic, but yeah, no, that's a good point about how close and relatable of damage Yorei is. He's slimy because we could feel that. We've all had that guy who we've taken under our, well, maybe not to everyone's taken someone under their wing, but having someone that you take under your wing and you're friendly with and you're helpful, and then they just backstab you. I've had that happen.
I can relate to that with
I can
World War II reenacting. And it's, to a much lesser degree, but it brought home to me the, I don't know where this is from, actually, I should look it up, but how sharper than a serpent's tooth is an ungrateful child. I'm not sure if that's from the Bible or what, but because it's a long story that I'm not going to get into, but basically unit drama with World War II reenacting, and it burned me in the long term, I think the whole hobby for the most part. Because I put my heart and soul into doing stuff for the unit, and then they just, not just a few people, the whole unit just basically told me and the other people who've been really putting our hearts and souls into us to F off for no real reason. And it's like, okay.
Well, back to the plot here. We do get out of there. Lawrence gets out of there, wakes up. Holo's...
Well, because Holo, she turns into her full wolf form. That's pretty important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She transforms, and she has to, in order to transform, she has to make a special bargain, and she used wheat the first time, but this time she used some of Kraft's blood. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that.
Yeah, we're doing that.
That's happening.
She doesn't need all of it, She's taking it to protect him, so.
She does, and it's really cute how she's willing to protect him, and yeah, it's a good scene.
No, I love that entire sequence. It's so well done.
Yeah.
Mama's mad. Look out.
Absolutely do not piss off Holo. That is a good rule to live by.
Yeah, well, just in general, females protecting the people closest to them are not to be underestimated in any species.
Well, she I think was particularly inspired by how willing he was to die to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
They were literally in the most dire situation, cornered in the sewers. He was injured. They were being surrounded by Medio goons, and she's like, "All right, I'm stepping up to this now. It's my turn. My turn to protect you." And then he passes out.
Yep. Well, he wakes up, hanging out at the Malone Trading Company headquarters. where things went okay. There were some gains, but there were also some losses. So he takes his cut of the profits for his payment, apparently in pepper.
In peppercorn, not to be confused with the chili pepper.
Yes.
Yeah,
just
and
to be-
before anyone laughs at that, wars, like global wars, have been fought over this stuff in the real world.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of pepper. It's a lot of pepper.
It is a lot
Right.
of pepper. Well, and he's shown quite a skill at bartering, which we're going to see here and again in a minute. So that's kind of what he does. Take a thing, trade it for another thing, trade for another thing, cash that out for a lot of gold.
Yeah, that is his whole bit. He barters and trades until he gets the best deal that he can get the most monetary value for. With his eventual goal, as he said, not to be a traveling merchant anymore, but to be a stationary one.
Reminds me of
so-
those Zelda game trading quests where you just trade until you get what you want.
Yeah, that's a thing that is not so much a thing nowadays, although it still does exist. But especially back in the day, you have the establishment merchants who stay in place and they deal with stuff. But then there's always becomes like imbalances in the system where there's too much of something over here and not enough of it over there. And so the function of people like Kraft is to balance the system and make their living in the process.
And he seems to have a pretty good.
Theory, but
he has a pretty good ear to the ground about different products and how they'll sell in different areas. So he's definitely picked up a lot of good info being a traveling merchant. He's not uncrafty.
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
Yeah, he
You're
has to
welcome.
know. It's like in escape velocity, you have to know what you can buy cheap here and what you can sell high over there. And if you don't know that, you're just going to wipe out.
Well, which works
Unless
for
you're
him
insanely
until it
lucky.
doesn't work.
Yes.
Right, well, that's
that
the
leads
risk.
us into our next storyline here. We managed to sell the pepper in a new town called Porson. In exchange, he gets some armor. This turns out to have been a big mistake. Because he doesn't just get armor, he gets greedy and takes more than what he's due for the pepper. Because, I'll just be able to, trade that out and just, give the money back.
This is called
He
margin
takes a
trading,
loan.
and this is why Wall Street keeps getting into trouble decade after decade, is because they do this shit.
I did find it a little incredulous that the value of the armor dipped so badly just because of one campaign not going. And I mean, his reasoning for getting it was so the guy he was selling the pepper to was trying to trick him in order to sell the pepper at a lower value. And Holo picks up something's off. She very casually knocks glass of water over, and then that's how they discover the scales are tipped because the table is tipped.
Yep, I love that. That was great.
Yeah, the table was tipped.
As far as the armor thing, that actually made sense to me because when you're trying to outfit a large military campaign, particularly back in a pre-industrial world like this, you're bringing in a lot of people who are not normally soldiers, levies, and the equipment for them has to come from somewhere. So, and when you need it, and so if there isn't enough locally, and it takes a while to produce armor is the thing, even more so than weapons. In a medieval thing, armor is not simple to make. Like even nowadays, nowadays it's artisan, but it actually costs proportionally about as much for a suit of plate mail nowadays as it did back in the day, because it's still an artisanal thing. And so, go look up how much you can buy them. Go look up how much it costs. It'll make your eyes water. And so the thing is, under those circumstances, if you show up with a good batch of armor, and we're not talking like full suits of plate mail, probably we're talking about breastplates and greaves and, for normal soldiers. But if you're not all of a sudden not going on that campaign, you're not levying those soldiers, and you don't need that stuff. And so, if you pick it up for cheap,
armor
you might
is
still
in the
buy
thousands.
it and throw it in the
Holy
armory.
cow.
Oh yeah, it's in
3 to 4K from what I can find.
At least, and it has to be fitted to you, at least for full plate mail. Now, a regular breastplate, not so much. But again, this is what you learn at the Ren Fair. But and so so if all of a sudden there's a Lord of Armor that shows up, you can get it for cheap. Sure, you throw it in the armory for a rainy day, but you're not going to pay the premium that you would if you actually need it right now. And the choice is either to pay the premium or to send your guys into battle with no armor on, and you may as well not have them because they're just going to die, and they're not going to fight for you if they think that you don't care about them. So that actually makes perfect sense with the shift in the market, to me, at least, knowing about medieval warfare and stuff, or even, Renaissance warfare. Yeah, I think this society's more like the 1500s in terms of the tech level. Don't know about the society, but
Yeah, if they suddenly, war's completely over, we have no need for armor. It's not that you can't get anything for it. You can, but it's not going to be enough to make a profit. Was definitely the problem.
Well, the company that buys his debt also are at a loss because they were too trying to sell armor, and when the campaign didn't happen, now they have a loss at with the rate they bought their inventory. So that whole organization, which is struggling as well, which brings you to Holo's next brilliant idea. Smuggling.
Indeed.
They do everything in the show.
I will say
that's part of economics.
This, before we get to the smuggling, this whole sequence, which is what Ark was referring to earlier, where, Kraft just gets beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. He goes for help. Nope, we're not going to help you. He goes for help. Nope. Nobody wants to help him because he's got Holo with him and everyone thinks that it's a mistress. I love
Such a weird fucking take.
So it's a very interesting social commentary for the Middle Ages because they probably would have thought of it that way back then.
Depends is the short answer, but it's an interesting dynamic in this society right now.
And she feels really guilty and responsible too. I feel she's watching him.
Well, especially
she's
watching him get
insisted
rejected.
on coming with him.
There's a little bit of I don't think she bears a responsibility, but she does feel bad that she can't help, and that her presence is actively hurting.
He does have his breakdown where he absolutely yells at her and does blame her.
Yeah, and I think even
and her tail poops.
Like the moment, in the moment later, he
knows he's screwed up. He knows he's screwed up.
It's not something that he meant. He just needed to lash out at something, and she kind of presented herself by trying to comfort him. And
her tail poofs.
It does.
And nobody knows it poofed. My cat does that.
Yeah, it's just a bad situation.
It really was, and this is something that we see again in later episodes we won't be talking about, but the relationship between Kraft and Holo is really interesting, both on how strong it is, but also how realistically fragile it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, drop each other on a dime, but people hurt each other sometimes. People who care about each
there's
other.
that.
She's dependent on him.
Mm-hmm.
She needs him. So, she probably feels at a disadvantage without wanting to admit it. She tries to be very cavalier about it. How, no, I'm Holo the Wise Wolf. Of course, you having me would be a benefit and an investment. And that's how he keeps jokingly referring to her as an investment, thinking that, okay, yeah, she's helped, so this will pay off, even though he's spending loads of money on her sweets habit and to clothe her and feed her in general.
At this point, I think where we are in season 2, not to go into any details, but I think to this point, it's just he is a man who has made a promise and is doing his best to fulfill it. I think it's gone beyond any sense of economics on his side.
Oh, yeah, but for her, I mean, in that moment, she felt really vulnerable because she depends on him, and him being in this place where he might get put in debtor's prison because he can't pay back this armor debt, that, what will happen to both of them,
Yeah, they're not going to kill him. He's going to go work off that debt for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Debtor's prison is the stupidest idea in history.
Yeah.
Yep.
An interesting thing with their dynamic is, he's finally willing to, like bow his head before her, apologize, and say, I messed up. I'm so sorry. And she's like, why aren't you more mad at me?
I do like that. That is a
Mhm.
very interesting dynamic they've got
She
going
tries to
on.
hit him with a chair.
Yeah.
Well, to back up a second, because we
Yeah.
missed a character introduction. Before we get to all this, on the road to go
the
sell that armor.
shepherdess.
Yes, we have the shepherd, Nora Arden, reprising her role. Leah Clark, Himiko Toga in My Hero Academia, and Mio in Nichijou.
She is a precious character.
She is absolutely
Mhm.
amazing. And the amounts of jealous that Holo gets over the conversation between Nora and Kraft is just hilarious. Because, again, it's very realistic. Even though Nora and Kraft, I get friend vibes. I do not get romantic vibes. But, you know.
Kraft
I
is
don't
not
think it's-
trying to flirt with her, per se.
No, but I don't think it's so unreasonable for Holo to get
I didn't
jealous.
say that.
because while yes, I do only get friend vibes. Nora obviously likes Kraft, and if Holo wasn't there, I think Kraft and Nora might have become a thing.
It could
is
have.
the thing.
It could have.
No.
But she was there, and I think
And
that
so no chance. But
and I
Plus,
think
there's a natural enmity
that's
between them
Mhm.
because she's the
There's that too,
shepherdess, and
And-
her whole job revolves around keeping the wolves from her flock. And she doesn't know what Holo is, obviously, but Holo's like she keeps joking like, well, she could never keep me away because of how great she is, but she does acknowledge that she's very skilled shepherdess, and she has her dog who's precious. The dog's the best dog.
Good dog.
He's a
Absolutely.
good dog. He's a good
And
boy.
our last major character here, Hans Romeria, the owner of Romeria Trading Company, who we've got this debt problem to, voiced by the legendary Kent Williams, Mr. Compress in Hero Academia, and father in Fullmetal's Brotherhood, among many, many, many other roles. This guy, oh god, this is another slimy guy.
Mhm.
I get that he's desperate, but
I
like,
get that he's desperate too,
like,
but
they come to him. They come to him with a way to get them both out of debt. And
but
like,
no,
I
just
get,
me.
like if you're a merchant, like yes, you're going to be a certain amount of backstabber, but at some point, like you need to base your reputation off of being reputable. And so for him to be so slimy in the way he is, not like after they all agree to the smuggling scheme, it's just irritating. I just wanted to
I
smack his
agree.
face.
I'm
like,
right
the
there
fuck's
with
wrong
you.
with you, dude?
common
You're getting
sense
a
is
deal
not
here.
common.
But yeah, they go for that smuggling operation because, well, Nora can keep the wolves away. We can sneak through this area, sell the stuff, make money, and both be happy.
And they don't
Also, she
explain
has the
this.
sheep, which are not going to get searched.
They
Odyssey style.
this part, yeah, they did not explain this in this anime as in depth as I remember in the original. So essentially, the gold smuggling, it's a lot more implied than it is what the impact would be than in the original, which I remember this being more detailed in that the church has a tax. They control a lot of the gold industry and how gold is used in different coins and also in different products. So the smuggling would get around the church's control. B, using the sheep because the shepherdess, she can go freely without being inspected, and they can use the sheep as an agent. The way people do drugs today. They would
Mhm.
consume the gold, and then they would be not subject to inspection or any kind of taxation as they come and go, but B, they'd be able to get the gold from one town to another in secret. So that's how that scheme came about. And it was implied that it's Holo's idea. When she sees they have a little bit of money, she's like, he mentioned gambling, and I think that's probably what gave her the idea to like, well, yeah, we can gamble, but in a way that will more reliably net us a higher value, a higher worth of profit. So, because she's smart, she's a wise wolf.
She is indeed the wise wolf.
Well, there's a saying that the best gamblers don't actually gamble.
Mhm.
Indeed. Well, yeah, this goes along until the wolves actually do show up. Or a wolf, I should say.
The anti-holo.
The anti-Holo. And so Holo's like, all right, I got this. I'm going to go take care of it. You guys go ahead. And, so
And
she
then,
has
of course, she
her-
gets a chance to repay Lawrence after he gets, all basically just left for dead, and then she comes to get him, just like he did for her.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because
Mhm, yep,
Romario
so-
sends a bunch of sketchy guys. Like once they secure the gold supply, they send some guys to clean up to tie up loose ends. Initially, they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, we just wanted to check on you. We heard that you sacrificed yourself to get the sheep there safely." And
Yeah,
then
'cause
they admit that
they told Nora to go on ahead at first. So
Yeah.
she did. And then Lawrence got beat up a little bit before Holo started fighting the wolves, and he kind of went off on his own and ran into these fun little goons.
Yeah. Yeah, and then and I think what really gets, because he knows that Holo can take care of herself in this, but where he gets emotional and you see him crying in that scene, it's because he thinks about Nora, who's innocent in all this, and he dragged her into this whole scheme, and then they said they're gonna kill her because they can't have any loose ends. I was like, yeah, that's really shitty. Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all are shit people.
Yeah, like, you wouldn't even have this opportunity if not for her. You jerks.
Mhm.
Like, what
And
did
then
they
these
think?
goons, like absolute amateurs, they don't cut his throat. They tie him up and leave him for dead. That's so amateur hour.
Because
I-
they're not really murderers. They don't think they have it in them.
Well,
They
then
wanted
don't
it.
go.
They expect the wolves to take care of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, time and time again, you want something done, you do it your freaking self.
It's very Bond villainy.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, also,
Tells
I get the
them
feeling
the
you guys
whole
are-
plan and
Scheme
then
is-
walks
is
away.
the main plot line of Goldfinger.
I
right,
get
at
the
least to
very
start with.
strong opinion here. We're not paid enough to do the hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they
But,
don't.
yeah.
They don't actually want to kill anyone.
No.
They actually
Right. Well,
should
then
say
they
that,
should pick
too.
a different line of work. Is
Well,
the
they
thing.
were in a
Clearly.
line of work that was supposed to involve that. They kind of got thrown into that. That was a thing that their boss threw them way out of loop for. That was not normally what they do.
Well, then ditch.
Well,
I
they might
mean-
not be able to
Yeah.
afford to.
From their
Should get off the
perspective,
plot. Is my only point.
from their
Mm.
perspective, they couldn't, if they were going to get rid of anybody else in this, it had to be the three of them, because if they got rid of Kraft and left Nora alive, she would be wondering, well, wait a minute, what happened to him? Because she's nice like that, and she would have expected, she wouldn't have thought the wolves got him. She would have expected him to show up or something, especially because they warned them. They warned
Right.
Romero that something was up, and then vice versa. If they let Kraft live but killed Nora, I mean, he would have 100% said something. So then the wise thing would have been to not do anything at all and just take the profits that these people netted you and move on with your little lives instead of being skeevy backstabbers. But
Yeah, but they
That
couldn't
would be
get
the
out of
smart
their
thing
own
to
way.
do. But if
Yeah.
but if you're going to be an idiot, go through with it. Is my point. Don't half-ass things like that, or we'll come back to bite you.
And it did.
And it did.
Rather
Literally.
literally in the form of Holo.
Mhm.
But yeah, what I would, again, if I was dumb enough to be put in that situation, and leaving Holo aside, which is a factor they could not account for, what I would do is kill Lawrence in a way that doesn't make it obvious that he was killed by a human, and then actually make a big thing of bringing his body back, and he was such a hero. That gets Nora now knows what happened, and she's clueless. Leave her alone. And she has no reason to talk. She'd get in trouble.
You're
She get
expecting a
killed.
lot of murderous forethought out of some merchant random people.
Yeah.
This isn't that hard.
You
I mean,
say
if he
that.
thought of it,
Well, yeah. But Ark thinks about these things a lot. We'll be
Well-
watching anime and be like, just kill that guy already all the time.
Yeah,
Could you-
and I'm usually right.
I'd say 50-50.
Not always, but usually.
I'd say 50-50.
Well, I mean, if we're going to reduce the principle, this is obviously totally extreme, but the principle was articulated supposedly by Joseph Stalin. Death solves all problems. No
Well, there's
man,
your
no
problem.
problem.
Look at your source. That's who you want to credit? Okay.
Stalin was a very smart man in his fucked up way. I mean, you
might
don't
be
survive.
the
You
making
don't
of a
survive
murderer,
that
you
long
know.
in the position he was in without knowing what you're doing. Not saying he was a good person. Quite the opposite.
Not a
but-
guy you want to emulate. That's all I'm gonna say.
Honestly,
course not,
I
but-
think what makes all of them more vulnerable to this happening to begin with is because they're doing something illegal in the first place. So when you get in bed with criminals, you got to expect a certain amount of criminal activity to go down. So it wasn't entirely surprising. It's just really disappointing, that like, come on, we could have all walked
We
away
could've
from
all
this
come out ahead.
rich.
It's
But
the
no.
old frog and the scorpion.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah. Or
Well, I
if
love how
anyone
this ends
else
up
has
biting him in
played-
the end. It's just like, yeah, you get nothing.
God.
Good day, sir.
this is not really a point, just a reference for anyone else who's played Saints Row 2. You could have offered me 50.
Yeah. I haven't played that.
If
but
you
that's
don't
about
know,
right.
go play Saints Row 2.
I have 3.
Good game.
Go play Saints Row 2. It is the best one in the series.
Is it? Oh, I really
I always
like
heard 3 was the best, which is the only reason I have it.
3 was just this weird in between mishmash because 2 was like regular GTA but bonkers. 3 was just didn't know what it wanted to be. And 4 went completely silly but did it well. So I'd say for me, 2 is the best, 4 is the second best, 3 whatever.
I feel like 3 went
1 I
probably
haven't played.
silly and just leaned entirely into it.
It tried,
would've been
but it
my
kept going
experience with
back
it.
and forth, and it just I didn't like 3.
Yeah. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I thought it was all right.
I love that game.
Also, there was no explanation of what was going on. The plot was just no actual progression to it. Things just happened without any proper contextualization. It seemed very badly written to me compared to 2.
I don't know anything about
But-
these games, so and nothing of what you guys are saying is making me
I
want
know
to play
very
them.
little.
Don't worry about it.
I know very little. I know enough to kind of follow, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, as I said, we get the Willy Wonka quote. They get nothing. Good day, sir.
Fair enough.
What they deserve.
Absolutely.
But everybody is alive and okay, and now
Everyone's
Nora
alive and
can.
okay, and we even end we end the core of the show with Holo, Lawrence, and Nora sitting down to a nice happy meal and some friendship made.
Yeah.
I like the end of this. This was a really good. I wouldn't say season because technically the whole thing is a season, but a good core, good run for the season, as it were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hope that they go further than the two.
They already confirmed. We last time we did an episode of Simuldub Saints, one of the news we picked up. The next arc after one they're adapting right now, which is the last one the old show did, they do have new original material set to appear in the current run of Spicy Wolf, Mercer Meets the Wise Wolf. So we are going to
Yeah.
get new material.
Good. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's pretty
I don't-
exciting.
Did you ever read the manga sketch?
No.
No.
Was it a
But
manga or a
I
light
have
novel?
I have seen the cover of the light novel in the US made it look like straight up porn.
Oh my! Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was a light novel.
I don't
Let me check.
I feel like there has been a manga adaptation, but
there's definitely a manga. Hang on a minute.
Well, I mean,
Did
I'm
you
not
read?
saying there isn't.
Did you
but
read the light novels?
no. I've just seen the cover because they
There
came out
are light novels.
so long ago
Yeah.
that they didn't really
Oh,
know
wow.
how to market it.
Yeah.
24 volumes translated on Bookwalker.
Dang.
It's more accurate
Novels.
to say it looks like a spicy novel.
Spice and wolf. Or is it
Yeah.
I didn't realize there
Spice.
was. I thought it was all manga. I'll have to look into the light
No,
novels.
it's I know it was light novels. At least I thought it
Oh,
was.
it's definitely a light novel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
It's a good-
looking at
it's a good
I'm
story.
looking at the series, just the covers on Bookwalker, and it's just like Lawrence is here and there, but mostly it's just like almost like a model gallery of Holo being cute.
Apparently, the
As
next arc
it
is called
should be.
The Legends of Pagan Gods. And it kicks off on August 19th, so it's already started.
Yes.
Alright.
Uh,
New content
honestly-
is already here.
Whatever. I mean, I'd love to know what the author was thinking. Like, I'm going to take two completely disparate things and throw them together and make a story out of it. Medieval economics from a merchant's perspective and supernatural deities trying to balance out like the pagan tradition with the religious tradition. Like, let's put these things together in a story and make it work. And it does work.
That's
It's
actually the best way to come up with an interesting story ideas as someone who
Yeah.
moonlights as a story writer. I should actually finish something one of these days, but taking two disparate ideas and finding out how you can mix them, that's the best way to get something unique and special.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the preview for Volume 1, and the art is exact to the show.
Yeah, well, that's one of
So-
the big selling points of the new show, is the fact that they match the art style of the book.
Mhm.
There's this really cute chibi of Holo that I'm going to clip and send to you, LK. Hopefully put it in the
gosh.
credits.
Another big
Sure.
selling point for
I'm not sure it's a chibi per se, but you'll see. It's cute.
for this show is the Kevin Penkin soundtrack, which he's worked on a lot of shows in recent years, but a lot of the tracks in this just really remind me of Made in Abyss.
Okay, I knew I felt like the music sounded familiar. Now I know why.
A lot of
Yeah.
it is very traditional.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's what he was
it's
going
I
for
put it in Skype as well.
for both Made in Abyss and this.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Oh my
I
god,
enjoy
she's
it.
so cute.
She is
Right?
absolutely adorable. I'm putting that on screen right now for those of you watching. Absolutely. That's too adorable not to do.
Yeah.
Editing self, I'm sorry.
That's from the ending sequence too. They have the little not
Aw.
chibis.
Yeah, kind of a
Indeed.
hand-drawn art
That's
style.
something I do want
Yeah.
to remark on. We talked about it when we did our award show, but the opening and ending to this show are so good.
Yeah.
Like they're earworms. They will stick with you. I would even say it's almost the ending song in particular. I think it's almost haunting. Like it not in a bad way, but in a it hangs out with you.
Is it this series that has Anandante as the ending, or is it season 2?
I
think it's season 2.
It's not. They're not season 1 and 2. They're both season 1 arc. It's
Yeah, the first
It's a
ending
split
is
door.
on Dante,
Whatever.
and then the opening theme is Tabi no Yukue. I was not the biggest fan of the mood that's set by that opening. Like, it's a pretty song, but it gives this more serious emotional affect than like the kind of emotion I have when I'm watching this, which is like you're paying close attention and you're really alert, but it's not like it's not a very emotional series like some of these dramas are. You know, they seem to be, I don't know how else to describe it. It's very matter of fact, if you will. So I wasn't as fond of the opening. Not to say it wasn't bad. It just didn't fit the mood for me.
I get you. For me, I felt like it fit because we have a lot of intrigue going on.
Yeah, I
Definitely
think it fits. I think it sets the stage for a fantastical journey. And I think that works. I do. I also like that they have the opening dubbed in English. That's a nice touch.
That is a nice touch. I didn't realize that was just not the way it was to begin with.
I'm not sure, but it might actually be Brina singing that.
If
she's-
so, I am very impressed.
She has sang openings for Funimation dubs
'Cause
before.
they don't do that very often.
No, they really don't
Translating
do it
songs between languages, lyrics is always very difficult.
They used to do it like way back in the day. It used to be all the time, and they were really good at
Right.
it too.
Yeah. The ending was done by Claris, which is it's always like something really dramatic is happening at the end of one of the episodes, and then it's like
And then that.
no. Like whoa.
Wait, what?
wow.
I'm getting whiplash, guys. I'm getting whiplash.
That's a good point. I guess
It's
not gonna
cute.
Make...
It's cute animation too. It's
Oh,
like it's
so
really
cutesy.
cute.
adorable. Absolutely
Oh, yeah.
adorable.
Yeah.
That's definitely the best word I could use to describe overall the series, like because it keeps coming up from all of us how cute different aspects of the show
It
are.
is. It
Uh-huh.
really is like very cute show.
Mhm.
Even when it gets serious, like you're like, come on, you guys, because you want to root for these guys because they're adorable, they're cute, they're this is me being a 40-year-old. They're kids in love. They're probably in their 20s.
They're figuring it out.
It's
Well,
precious.
yeah, and it's kind of funny where, Holo is, God knows how old, but in a sense, she's been there so long, she's been out of touch with people so long, she is almost like a teen or an early 20-some in terms of, because she's forgotten how to deal with people.
Well, I think the main thing we haven't touched on yet is why she's even going on this journey. Because they no longer
She's
need
lonely.
her. Well, it's not just that. She wants to go home.
Yeah.
And
she's relying on Kraft to get her there.
And there's a framing device where at the beginning and the end of this core, you see her telling a tale to another wolf.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder what that means. I love that. I absolutely hope that bookends the first core, and I do hope we get that again at the end of the second core because it actually is a really good framing device.
I mean, you can make a lot of inferences from that framing device. I have some ideas.
I straight up have. I mean, to me, that means they made it. No matter what happens here, they definitely made it.
I love that she starts off, want to hear the story about how I bit someone in the ass?
That's such a whole thing to say.
Very
it's a good way to
appropriate
get a kid's
children's tale.
attention.
Yes. And the kid's like, no, I've heard that one before.
Well,
geez, how many times has she
the
said
best
it?
history teacher I had in high school would, for things where it's like, ancient Rome, it's like, we're talking about ancient Rome and everyone's like, and he's like, there's sex involved, and everyone's like, ooh. And he's like, okay, shut up, let's talk.
That'd be a good one to do to
My
like
English
a Bible
teacher
school.
pulled out Canterbury Tales and says, okay, everyone, this is pornography.
Oh, God, yes. Parts of it, God, yes.
Kinda.
That definitely was a provocative way to start the conversation.
Yes.
well.
That's how you get a bunch of teenagers.
With Chaucer, that's a very accurate way to introduce it.
It's what I like to refer to as the best kind of correct. It is technically correct.
So there's some things I want to talk about that happened at the end of this season. One, Nora now knows that Holo is the wise wolf. She's seen her in her transformed form. And also, they have a fairly awkward, nice little meal where Holo is not feeling well and passes out. And part of the reason is because she's really not enjoying the fact that Lawrence and Nora are getting on so well. So she's, kind of biting her tongue and just exhausted after all that. But we get the classic young man dealing with the sick girl thing.
It's actually really, really sweet. I do like how that's treated.
Yeah. And eventually he's like, well, I got to contact Nora because I need sheep milk. And she's like, no, you don't have to do that. And I was like, no, but I do. But by the end of that episode, it seems like she and Nora finally kind of okay with each other. I mean, Nora's totally fine with Holo, but Holo's warming up to Nora. And they compare Lawrence to a sheep.
Well, Holo's very territorial.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's in her nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And wolves mate for life. And not to say that is exactly what's happening here, but we can all see the writing on the wall that's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah, she's not predisposed to share a male she likes.
And even though it's not overtly a romantic relationship that Lawrence and Nora have, it is, from Holo's perspective, a potential rival. And as Sketch pointed out, if they were alone, it's entirely possible that they would, or was it you, Ark, that if Holo wasn't there, what would their relationship have been otherwise? So,
Yep.
So it's not unreasonable. But it is a little unreasonable.
Yeah. But okay, everybody, who wants to drink some watered down apple wine? Wonder how similar to apple cider that is.
I was wondering how similar it is to apple beer.
She gets drunk less in this one too than she does in the first one.
Get her drunk in the original?
She
The
gets
original-
drunk.
I mean, she gets drunk
She
a
gets
little
drunk a
bit
lot.
here, but
she it's very overt how much she likes to drink, and then she strips when she drinks.
oh,
don't know how else to put it.
2000s
Played up.
anime.
Well,
But I
that's
will
why
tell
they
you,
don't
they
show her drunk
college
as
me.
often.
Well,
They
that's
college me.
that's a reason
Yes.
to remake it, that we want people to take this character more seriously.
Oh
That's
yeah,
reason
no, it's
enough right there.
completely inappropriate, and it doesn't add anything to the plot. But College Me did question my sexuality when I saw these scenes, and I was like
Oh,
really
no.
confused.
Mm.
Well, she pretty.
Yeah,
She is
but this
indeed
is-
a very pretty lady.
This is definitely I did like this better, even though, like I said before, I don't see major differences. I do like enough of the small differences better, and just the fact that they're making an effort to continue the story, because they left it at a bit of a cliffhanger
Mhm.
10 15 years ago when they originally
Yeah,
did
it would
this.
be frustrating if they only remade the parts that they already did.
God, yeah.
Oh, gosh,
I'd be like, well, why even bother? Why did
No,
you waste
we got some new stuff, which would be great. I'm happy to hear that's not going to be a cliffhanger for us. And
I realize
I
I've
feel
made a
you
terrible
because I've
argument
had
for
shows
this.
like that.
Yeah, I realize I've made a terrible argument for this, but you don't actually have to watch the original. You can just watch this one and you'll be fine.
That is
No, I
what
think all
Mark
the
and I have
talk
been
of
doing. Straight up.
Provocativeness now has gotten about your listeners to be like, no, I want to see nude holo.
I
You really
want
don't need to.
see.
What? Oh, just go on E621 and search for Holo.
Okay.
Or
Again, I'm
wherever.
making a terrible argument for
Well, I
this.
think you might have a hard time tracking down the original.
Yeah.
You can watch it on Crunchyroll, but
Oh, okay, you can still do that. All right.
let
Yeah,
me
but
double
why
check
would
that.
you want to do that?
I think
Why not?
the Blu-ray's out of print.
It is, which is why I didn't get around to it before now, because I wanted to buy it before I watched it, and then they took it out of print. Like,
I got a killer deal on that like
Oh my
5
God.
years ago.
You know what's nuts? I did own the DVD set for this, and then I sold it because I needed quick cash. And now I'm wishing I hadn't. I wish I'd held on to
Ain't
it.
that always
Oh,
the
well.
way?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is on Crunchyroll. You can watch the original if you. Oh wow, that design is very different. Holy cow! Just looking at Holo
there
in
you go.
the title graphic there,
Mhm.
that is a different looking Holo. That
She-
does look
she's a-
generic 2000s anime girl. Holy cow!
Yeah. Like a lot
Mhm.
sharper
Yeah.
and a lot more hair moments. Her hair is a big, like, flowy, and yeah, it definitely gives. I think Sketch makes a really good point. It's definitely more the 2000s anime girl than today, but
hmm
I'm thinking like story wise.
There's a lot more of an emphasis on being correct to manga or light novels or to the original source these days than there was back then, I feel like.
I think you're right, and I think that's a good thing.
Oh, goodness, yes. Because it makes things feel distinct.
I mean, or else we're gonna have a Blue Exorcist, and then
Oh
where would we
gosh!
be?
And then hey, watch half of season 1 and then season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch half season 1 and then stop, and then keep watching their other seasons.
Because we did a
So-
Full Metal Alchemist ending, but we don't need to remake what we did because what we did was accurate. It just stopped there.
Yeah. So while we've been chatting, I've been skimming the free preview of Volume 1 of the light novel. So it's published by Yenon, which is always a good sign. They publish good stuff. Yen Press, and then
boy.
it just skimming it, not really reading it. It's a real novel. Very much
Oh, yeah.
like a lot of the ones I enjoy. So I'm gonna
Yempress is
enjoy
alright.
digging
I
into
always
this.
wish that Yempress's stuff was J novel though, because Yempress's translations are so dry.
I kind of like that, but
J novels feel more readable.
I guess.
I don't hate
It's a matter
Yempress
of
or anything.
it's a
but-
matter of taste, but it's the way things are described and stuff. Again, just skimming sentences here and there. It's very evocative.
Well, that's good.
So at least it's because there's two kinds of light novels. Or three really. There's the ones that are really well and densely written, like a real novel.
Oh,
There's the
ReZero.
ones that are ReZero, Bookworm. This
Bookworm is
some
not
other
like
things.
ReZero. ReZero is like 900 pages, dude.
It's not about length; it's about the quality of the writing.
I wasn't
Or
referring to
the
that in general.
Quality,
but-
not necessarily in the sense of good or bad, but
I mean,
just like
Re:Zero is
the
pretty
type of the
detailed
writing.
Also, but
Then
yes.
there's the ones that are more lightly written but still good, and that would be something like your I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire or something like that. And then there's the ones that are the story's there, but it's almost like why is this even a novel? This is it's manga text without the manga, and that would be your I'm quitting heroing. No wait, I'm not quitting here.
No, you got it right.
Yeah, no, that was the right one. I was confusing it for a moment with Banished from the Heroes Party, which is very well written.
Oh, Banished from the Heroes Party is actually better in book form because
yes. Most things are.
Well, I disagree on that actually.
Not everything, but most things.
I disagree on that still. But anyway, so it depends. I would give you a giant. It depends.
Mhm. So yeah, good show, good dub.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you know what I'm
great show
looking
right
forward to? I'm really looking forward to seeing Holo shine in her capacity as a wise wolf. I'm looking forward to seeing her find clever ways to help Lawrence make money, and
Mhm.
using her skills in that capacity, like she keeps saying she can. And you've seen a little bit of that in this core, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
I really
Step up.
enjoyed the apple furs thing that she did.
Yeah.
That was
I
great.
ate all those apples, but it made the furs smell like apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe she managed to make that work for her. Like, I was like, really? This guy is that dumb?
Hey, if it
Yes,
works, it
they are.
works.
Don't underestimate the power of enthusiasm, salesmanship, and a pretty face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're charming. They're a charming duo, and
Mhm.
it's a charming
They really
show. So it is. That's I'd say more so than cute. I would say charming overall.
Charming's a
It's a very
great way to
charming
put it.
series.
Very charming.
I think that's
And
a
I
good
think-
note. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if you're put off by the supposed economics of this, it's very digestible. It's very, very much
It is.
digestible.
Mhm.
It's not like a dusty tome. They
No,
give
no.
it to you in a very easy to understand format, and
Yes.
I'd say the strength of it is more on the relationships and the characters
Yes.
than even the economics. Which
And
the
how they
economics is
navigate
interesting. It's like the
situations.
cherry on top.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's just another part of the plot and explaining why we're doing what we're doing. It's not the focus of the story.
Mhm.
So now we can keep watching, and we can come back here and talk about
Oh yes.
when we get to the end of the second core, which I'm looking forward to.
I would love to have
Indeed.
everyone here back for the second core talk about it because man, this has been a good run.
Yeah.
But
wanna do that.
Yeah, I think that's I'm
No,
sure we
one
can
more
keep-
thing about
Oh,
Holo.
go
Wasn't
ahead.
it interesting that her way of handling the younger wolves attacking was not to fight; it was to bow.
Yeah, I did like
It was
that.
to ask for a pardon.
She talks a lot about pride leading up to it, and I thought she was gonna having seen it, notwithstanding, you think that she's gonna smack the whelp silly
Absolutely.
because she's the
Mhm.
wise one, but she just appeals to a sense of pride and gets what she wants out of it. So she was very
That's
smart.
wisdom. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shows that she's mature enough to not let her own sense of pride overwhelm her
Hmm.
Indeed.
when push comes to shove, which is very much a mark of maturity.
But
But
yeah,
because she knows she could kick ass if she needed to.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yes.
Shortly
Absolutely.
thereafter. Oh man, those merchants didn't know it was.
No.
Yeah,
No.
well,
And lest
they're not
we
fighting. They're
forget.
not fighting men. They had no idea this thing existed. How can they prepare for like a 3-meter tall giant wolf coming and smacking them around because
Mhm.
they're hurting her husbando?
Lawrence
We all
did
need a
up his
giant wolf
game
companion.
at the
Oh,
end
God,
there in teasing Holo. It was like, okay, who did you call out for in that moment? I don't remember. It was Nora. It was easier to say. Or was it Holo? It was easier to say. I forget which one it was. I, like Lawrence, don't remember.
That's my
You'll
story, and I'm
have to
sticking to it.
rewatch. Just have to
Indeed.
rewatch.
For somehow you guys got through us talking about Spice Wolf for 2 hours and you haven't watched it, why? But there's plenty to say about this show. And it's a really good time.
Still airing. Still new
Absolutely.
episodes.
Still new episodes to come. We have not even touched the second core outside of very minor references too. We'll come back for that.
Yeah, like the Terminator, we will be back.
Yes. Or be back. But Ark, why don't you tell us about our wonderful new sponsor?
Okay, well, this episode of the Simuldub Saints has been proudly sponsored by the fine ladies and gentlemen over at Ryan Industries. Now I ask you, are you not entitled to be the best person that you can possibly be? Andrew Ryan says yes. And to aid you to that end, Ryan Industries has developed the finest line of personal plasmid enhancements on Earth, all for your convenience and pleasure. From simple strength and speed enhancements to mental prowess to manipulating the very elements themselves, Ryan Industries plasmids can make you into a better you. Evolve today.
I wonder if I can evolve into a wolf god with that.
You really had me going with that one.
If not, then I'm a professional public speaker, Kuro. So yeah, while I don't usually do ad reads, it's actually pretty easy once you get into it. So,
well, yeah. I think that just leaves us to get out of here. So, Kuro, where can the people find you?
I'm still on Twitter. I'm sorry, I haven't branched out, guys.
That's okay.
I'm there.
I think everyone on here except for Ark is on Twitter. So
I'm also on the Toonami Faithful podcast, occasional host and frequent speaker. So you can find me there. It's great. We do great podcasts.
We do
great
listen. Podcasts.
Yeah.
At first I thought our sponsor was going to be the Toonami Faithful podcast, because this is basically Toonami Faithful when we're not talking about Toonami.
That would have
right
been
now.
hilarious, but now that you said it, now we can't do it.
Yeah, maybe next time.
This episode is also sponsored by the Toonami Faithful podcast because I said so.
Cool.
And
Well,
it's my podcast.
Sketch. On that note, where can the people find you?
On this podcast's other sponsor, Toonami Faithful podcast.
does that mean you're paying us, Sketch?
We
You
don't
think we
pay
get
any-
paid?
No, I'm
Yes,
teasing.
beautiful
I'm
voice.
teasing.
I don't even get paid.
That's what a
You
sponsor
get paid
means.
in love.
Not in One Piece mugs, apparently.
No. We still need to
It's a
demand
sore
all those
point
One
with
Piece
me.
ones. I gave up and bought my own, but still. It's
I
a
can't believe you
You could
principle.
always have
David.
more than one. I mean, imagine if you have company.
It's true, I could have two. And then I could be like, let's watch One Piece together.
Let me
Those
get
were
out the
really
mugs.
cool looking mugs, and they were on sale.
They're
It was a
so
perfect
cool.
opportunity that Paul just blew, and I'm still
Yeah.
mad about it.
I'm leaving this in, by the way. It's my podcast.
That's right. That is your right. It's your podcast.
Life hack: if you need really good glassware for cheap, go to Goodwill or whatever, or like all different places. Buy plain unmarked pint glasses. They're all over the place. They're hold a lot and they're cheap as hell.
It's a good suggestion.
Yep.
They're very sturdy.
Exactly, and they don't spill easily.
Oh
that's
yeah,
fun.
that too.
Sketch and Kuro, I don't think I got your social medias, though.
Oh yeah, happy Kuro Kitty.
she mentioned she's on Twitter, but she didn't say where.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm also on
distracted.
Twitter at Sketch1984. I'm also on Blue Sky Sketch1984. But yes, listen to our podcast on all your favorite podcast apps or at soundcloud.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast.
And I suspect I know the answer, but Ark, besides Oscar the Grouch's trash can, where can the people find you?
Well, I've been spending a lot of time in the Hoxie's system lately, but for convenience, if you want to get a hold of me, you're probably best off contacting LaserKid.
Or you could comment to the Simuldub Saints YouTube, because he actually comments in there sometimes.
Look at
Sure.
you interacting with your listeners.
It's usually just a matter of apologizing or offering corrections, or as in one case, formally admitting that I was wrong in an argument that OK and I got into.
We will get into arguments. Like, did that happen that way? No, I think it happened the other way. Oh, did it happen that way? And sometimes I'm right, and sometimes he's right.
Yeah, and so I put a comment. It's like, just for the record, OK was right. You know.
Man, I would love for that to happen anytime I got into an argument with Paul. If someone would comment, Kuro was right, and I'd be like, I'm gonna retweet this 1,000,000 times.
I'm sorry, Paul. I'm sorry, not sorry. He's not even listening. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
We're not trying to be mean. This is just all
No,
fun.
we're not trying to be mean to Paul.
We're having fun.
As for myself, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime. I am supposedly on Blue Sky at LaserKid when I remember that I have one.
Mhm.
And you can also find me on the John Faithful podcast quite frequently because Sketch is an awesome guy and lets me on there often. As for the Simuldub Saints, you can find them at Simuldub Saints on Twitter. You can find them on Facebook. We have a Simuldub Saints Facebook group, which is linked on the YouTube page and also on the Spotify podcast page, which we are also on Spotify. If you're listening on YouTube, we do have an audio-only version on Spotify. So far, I think it's literally just my one friend, Andrew, who listens to it because we have like one listener over there, but that's one guy. So, Andrew, if you're listening to this, we're also on YouTube and Facebook. Those of you listening on YouTube, thank you. I did notice that spike when we did Quality Assurance in Another World. Thank you all for listening. Hope you had fun. Hope you stick around. And yeah, that's where you can find Simuldub Saints. And that about does it for this week's episode of Simuldub Saints. So we'll catch you all next time.
Cow goes moo, frog goes croak, and the elephant goes toot. Ducks say quack, and fish go blub, and the seal goes ow, ow, ow. But there's one sound that no one knows. What does the fox say? What the fox say? What the fuck say? Happy, happy, happy ho. Happy, happy, happy ho. Happy, happy, happy ho. What the fuck say? What the fuck say?